The clock is ticking in Cleveland, and not just on the game clock. Inside the Browns locker room, tension is boiling over, and all eyes are on head coach Kevin Stefanski. For weeks, frustration has been mounting, but after another crushing loss to the Patriots, that frustration finally spilled out into the open. The talk around the league isn't about game stats anymore. It's about how long this locker room can hold together before it completely fractures. Cam Newton fired the first shot, calling out Stefanski's stubborn loyalty to quarterback Dillon Gabriel. Newton didn't sugarcoat it. He said the coach is on the clock, warning that the Browns' patience is running thin. And he's not alone. Insiders, analysts, and even former players are echoing the same message. Cleveland's offense is broken, and if something doesn't change fast, it won't just be the season slipping away, but at a bolt of slippery. It could be Stefanski's job. Meanwhile, inside that frustrated locker room, players like Myles Garrett, David Njoku, and Jerry Jeudy are reportedly losing faith. They're putting in elite performances, but it's all being wasted by an offense that can't move the ball. The whispers about rookie Shedeur Sanders taking over aren't whispers anymore. They're demands. And as the Browns season teeters on the edge, one decision could define everything. Will Stefanski finally pull the trigger and make the change his team is begging for? Or will his refusal to adapt blow up the Browns from the inside? The Browns' latest loss to the Patriots wasn't just another bad day at the office. It was the breaking point. What unfolded on that field made one thing painfully clear. The offense is falling apart, and the man running it, quarterback Dillon Gabriel, is running out of chances. For most of the first half, Gabriel looked composed. The team moved the ball efficiently, showing flashes of life that hinted maybe, just maybe, this was the game that would turn their season around. But when the pressure ramped up, everything collapsed. Midway through the third quarter, with the Browns trailing by just one score, Gabriel made the kind of decision that drives coaches crazy and players furious. Instead of taking a safe checkdown or throwing the ball away, he forced a deep pass into double coverage. A ball that hung in the air just long enough for a Patriots defender to snatch it. The interception flipped momentum instantly. The crowd went silent. And on the sideline, you could see the frustration building, players shaking their heads, helmets flying, body language saying everything words couldn't. Later, in the fourth quarter, it happened again. Another drive, another mistake. This time, a telegraph throw across the middle was picked off, killing the Browns' last real chance at a comeback. After the game, Stefanski stood by his quarterback, repeating the same line he's used for weeks. "We believe in Dillon." But belief doesn't move the chains, and belief doesn't win games. Inside the locker room, that loyalty is starting to feel less like confidence and more like stubbornness. Players who are giving everything on defense, especially Myles Garrett, are watching their efforts go to waste because the offense can't stay on the field. It's demoralizing. As one analyst put it, you can't keep asking your defense to carry the weight of a broken offense. The loss to New England wasn't just another game. It was a message, a warning sign flashing in bright red. Something has to change. But what happens if the coach refuses to listen? Because as the Browns have learned before, ignoring the problem doesn't make it go away. It makes it explode. Inside the Browns locker room, things are no longer calm. They're boiling. What was once whispered frustration behind closed doors has turned into open tension that even outsiders can feel. The veterans, the stars, even the young guys, everyone knows something is wrong. After the Patriots game, the energy in that locker room wasn't just disappointment. It was anger. Players stared at the floor, others sat in silence, and a few spoke their minds louder than ever before. Cam Newton may not wear a Browns uniform, but his words echoed exactly what the players have been feeling. "You're on the clock," he warned Stefanski, comparing the situation to a ticking time bomb. Newton called out what many inside Cleveland are afraid to say publicly. That Stefanski's loyalty to Dillon Gabriel is dividing a team, and when outside voices start saying what insiders are already thinking, that's when a locker room begins to fracture. Myles Garrett didn't sugarcoat his frustration either. In his post-game interview, he was visibly angry, not at his teammates, but at the situation itself. "I'm frustrated. I want to win," he said. "I hate that feeling of inevitability. Like, no matter how hard I play, it doesn't matter." That's not a man who's lost hope. That's a man begging for change. Garrett's putting up career-defining numbers, yet the losses keep piling up because the offense can't deliver. He's not alone. Sources close to the team say players like David Njoku, Jerry Jeudy, and Cedric Tillman are all feeling it too. The constant grind of doing everything right, only to watch it fall apart because offensive mistakes. Wide receivers are reportedly frustrated that Gabriel won't throw deep, that he checks down when big plays are open. For them, it's not just about stats, it's about wasted potential. The Browns locker room used to be united by one goal: winning. Now, it's split between those still hoping for change and those who've stopped believing it'll ever come. And if that divide keeps growing, it won't just be the offense that collapses, it'll be the entire team. Because when belief breaks, everything else follows. While the Browns locker room grows more divided by the day, one name keeps echoing louder than the rest: Shedeur Sanders. The rookie quarterback hasn't even played a regular season snap yet, but somehow he's already become the center of Cleveland's biggest controversy. Every week that passes without him touching the field adds more fuel to the fire. And the cries to start Shedeur are turning from fan chatter into a full-blown movement. Drafted with sky-high expectations, Sanders brought with him the swagger, leadership, and precision that made him one of college football's biggest stars. The Browns knew what they were getting: a young QB with elite composure, a cannon for an arm, and the confidence to lead a locker room. But instead of getting the chance to prove himself, he's been left watching from the sidelines, clipboard in hand, while the offense sputters week after week. That's where the frustration comes in. Even Johnny Manziel, the former Browns quarterback who's seen his share of controversies, weighed in recently. In his own fiery way, Manziel said what many fans have been shouting for weeks: "Start him now. Enough waiting." It's not just about potential anymore. It's about urgency. This team needs a spark, and Sanders represents exactly that. Reports from inside the facility say teammates are intrigued by Sanders' confidence. He stays late at practice, works one-on-one with receivers, and already has the kind of locker room presence veterans respect. Players like Jerry Jeudy and Njoku reportedly see him as the kind of quarterback who could actually use their full skill set. Someone unafraid to push the ball deep and make bold throws. Still, Stefanski remains hesitant. His commitment to Gabriel has turned from caution into defiance. Maybe he's protecting Sanders from being thrown into the fire too early. Or maybe he's simply afraid of admitting his first plan failed. But one thing is undeniable: the longer Shedeur Sanders waits, the louder the noise gets. And in a city desperate for hope, every tick of the clock without him on the field feels like a wasted chance. Because if Sanders really is the spark everyone believes he is, then what exactly is Stefanski waiting for? For head coach Kevin Stefanski, the problem isn't just about picking the right quarterback. It's about survival. He's caught in the middle of a storm that's growing louder every week. On one side, he has a locker room begging for change. On the other, he's got an inexperienced rookie in Shedeur Sanders, who's yet to prove he can handle the pressure of the NFL spotlight. And somewhere in between is Stefanski's belief, or maybe pride, that he can still make Dillon Gabriel work. To the outside world, that decision looks stubborn. But behind closed doors, there's more to it. Insiders say Stefanski is trying to protect Sanders from being rushed too early. especially behind an offensive line that struggled to protect even veteran QBs. There's also the issue of control. Stefanski calls the plays, and giving the reins to Sanders would mean reworking the entire offensive rhythm. A rookie brings energy, yes, but also unpredictability. And in Stefanski's system, unpredictability means risk, the one thing he can't afford right now. Still, that cautious approach is starting to look like denial. Every week the Browns lose, the optics worsen. Analysts have started comparing Stefanski's current stance to the same stubborn loyalty that doomed coaches before him, the kind who believe too much in a system and not enough in the players within it. Inside the locker room, that system talk doesn't mean much anymore. Players care about results. They're tired of post-game speeches about trusting the process. What they want is wins, and they don't care if those wins come from a rookie or a veteran. Stefanski's faith in Gabriel might be strategic, but to the players, it feels personal, like he's choosing pride over progress. That's where the politics of the playbook come in. Every snap Gabriel takes that doesn't lead to points chips away at Stefanski's credibility. Every loss feeds the narrative that he's lost touch with his team. And the longer he waits to make a move, the smaller his margin for error becomes. Because in the NFL, loyalty can be admirable. But when it costs you the locker room, it's career suicide. If Kevin Stefanski keeps walking this tightrope, one wrong step could send, and whispers from players' agents hinting that patience has officially run out. The locker room isn't just divided anymore, it's cracking. If Stefanski continues sticking with Dylan Gabriel, the fallout could be ugly. The first domino to fall would be player morale. Veterans like Myles Garrett, the emotional anchor of the defense, are already reaching their limit. Once leaders like him check out mentally, it spreads like wildfire. A team that stops believing in its head coach becomes a team that stops fighting for him on Sundays. That's when losses start piling up, not because of talent, but because of belief. Then comes the fan base, and Cleveland fans aren't known for quiet patience. The chants for Shedeur Sanders are already echoing through the stadium, and every missed throw from Gabriel just turns the volume up. Once fans turn, ownership starts listening. And in the NFL, once ownership starts listening, jobs start disappearing. Analysts already speculate that if the Browns drop a few more games, Stefanski's future could be sealed before season's end. Beyond the coach, the ripple effect could reach the roster. Frustrated players might request trades, younger talents could lose development time, and the locker room culture that Stefanski worked years to build could crumble in weeks. Even Sanders, the supposed future, might inherit a team too fractured to save. The worst part? It's all preventable. The Browns don't lack talent, they lack direction. And if Stefanski doesn't pivot soon, his name could be added to the long list of coaches who tried to outsmart the inevitable. Because in the NFL, change is cruel but constant. And when you ignore it long enough, it doesn't just knock on the door. It blows it open. If things don't change now, Cleveland's bomb won't just tick. It'll explode, and everyone in that locker room will feel the blast. But what if Kevin Stefanski finally decides to take the risk everyone's been begging for? What if, instead of playing it safe, he flips the script and hands the keys to Shedeur Sanders? It would be a move loaded with uncertainty, but also the kind of bold decision that could completely change the Browns' story. Because sometimes, the only way to stop a free fall is to jump first. Starting Sanders wouldn't just be about replacing a struggling quarterback. It would send a message that the coach still believes in this team's potential, that he's listening, that he's willing to fight for the locker room instead of against it. And make no mistake, the locker room would respond. Players like Jerry Jeudy and David Njoku have been starving for a quarterback who can let them showcase their full talent. Sanders, with his quick release, strong arm, and fearless energy, could be exactly the kind of spark that reignites their fire. It would also give the Browns' offense a completely new identity. Sanders isn't afraid to take shots downfield, and that kind of aggressiveness can transform a conservative playbook into something dangerous again. Even defenses would have to adjust, respecting the deep ball and freeing up room for the running game. Suddenly, those same receivers who've looked frustrated could become playmakers again. And beyond the X's and O's, there's the emotional lift. Imagine the surge of energy in that locker room. Players rallying around a young QB with something to prove. Fans finally believing that the season isn't over. It could turn frustration into fuel and chaos into chemistry. Yes, it's a risk. Sanders is untested, and the stakes would come. But right now, the Browns aren't losing because they're taking too many risks. They're losing because they're not taking any. A bold move might not guarantee victory, but it would restore something even more important: hope. Because at this point, sticking with the safe option looks like slow defeat. But choosing change, choosing fire over fear, might just be the one thing that saves both the season and Kevin Stefanski's career. So here it is, the moment of truth in Cleveland. After weeks of tension, controversy, and disappointment, everything comes down to one decision. Kevin Stefanski is standing at the edge of a cliff, and whichever way he steps will define not just this season, but his entire legacy as the Browns head coach. Stick with Dillon Gabriel, and he risks losing the locker room completely. Roll the dice on Shedeur Sanders, and he might just reignite the fire that's been missing for far too long. This isn't just about quarterback stats anymore. It's about leadership, trust, and the message being sent to every player wearing that uniform. The Browns have talent on both sides of the ball. Myles Garrett is still wrecking offensive lines. Njoku and Judy are still running crisp routes. The defense is still giving the team a chance to win. But effort without belief is just noise. And right now, belief is fading fast. The fans can feel it too. Every Sunday, the frustration grows louder. The chants for Sanders aren't just about wanting a new quarterback. They're about wanting hope. Cleveland has been through this story before. Flashes of greatness drowned out by indecision and wasted potential. And fans know deep down that if Stefanski doesn't act soon, history will repeat itself once again. But imagine for a moment the alternative. Imagine Shedeur Sanders taking the field, the crowd roaring, the team rallying behind him. The city of Cleveland, a place built on resilience, finally seeing a spark worth believing in again. That's what's on the line right now. Not just a football game, but a chance to change the narrative entirely. So what happens next? Does Stefanski double down on the safe choice and watch his season crumble? Or does he take the risk that could save everything? The answer might decide the fate of the Browns and the future of Kevin Stefanski himself. What do you think, Cleveland fans? Has the clock already run out, or is there still time to save this team? Drop your thoughts below, because this story isn't over yet. In fact, it's just getting started.